right, what's happening, people? In today's video, we're going to talk all about the ways that you can get $100,000 in credit at 0% interest. So now here's the interesting thing about credit as a whole. You got to keep in mind that there are two parts to getting credit, right? There's going to be your credit score, and then there's going to be the second part, which is relationships, right? And at the end of the day, if you are somebody who's looking to get credit, right? You're looking to get credit for real estate, like common things would be real estate, starting a business, increasing a business or growing a business. Those are all the reasons that people would want to get 0% credit. Now, the way that 0% credit can be issued is in two different kind of methods. So the first one is going to be credit cards, okay? And credit cards typically have a 12 to 24 month intro period, okay? And that intro period allows you to put up usually up to maybe like $75K and pay 0% interest rate during that period of time. Now, once you're outside of that 12-month period of time or 24 months, or whatever the rules are for that credit card, you start accruing interest at anywhere from 14 to probably 24% interest. So you got to think about the credit card funding strategy as a bridge type strategy, right? So let's give a unique example on how to use the 0% credit cards during a real estate fix and flip, okay? So let's go to our fix and flip model, because most of you who are watching this kind of content trying to figure out how to get bigger with your fix and flip models, this is your kind of strategy, right? So you typically find a house and this house is distressed. Everybody knows this model, right? And let's say you buy this house for $100K, and let's say you're going to put in $50K. All right. So you're all in at $150, and then you're going to try to turn around and sell this at $225. Okay. So $225 with the math here minus $150, that's $75K. But of course, off the top here, you're going to have something like 10% in cost between closing costs and transfer tax and whatever other kind of costs you might have. Let's just say 10% to be very, very aggressive here. Maybe your price was a little wrong too, right? A lot of people who are in the flipping space budget for X, but it ends up selling for a little less. So let's say 10%, which is $25K. So that's the cost that has to fall to the bottom line. $75K minus $25K, that is $50K left, right? So that's your $50K profit. Now, when you do a normal deal, right, a normal deal with private money, you have two options. So let's do option one, which is all credit card. So in option one, again, we bought it for $150. Sorry, we bought it for $100, put in $50. So in option one, we have $100K at 0%, okay? And then we have another $50K at 0%. If we use all credit cards, we have all this money. The interest that we've accrued on this is zero. There has been no interest on this at all, right? As long as we can do this project in 6 to 12 months, which pretty much every single time you do this, you can make this work. Now, remember, on an average fix and flip here is your house. You're probably going to use one LLC per property. Again, it really depends on your situation, but a lot of times people do that, especially if they're considering buying, holding it. They're not going to want all their assets, pushed together. So they have one LLC. So 100K at 0%, 50K at 0%, that's a total of 150K at 0%. Now, during the build period, let's take 6 months for a second. Let's assume you spent the full 100K up front, and let's just assume you spent the 50K up front as well. I know you're going to probably do it over time as you do the project, but let's say you have the full 150K out. You need to pay a minimum, okay, of 1% per month on the credit card. So it's not interest, it's principal only, but you got to pay a minimum of 1% per month. So your holding cost, let me write this down. Your holding cost that you would have here would be 1% of 150K per month, which is $1,500 per month. So your total hold cost, that is principal only, so it's really just taking money in your left pocket and putting in your right pocket, is $1,500 a month. So on a 6-month project, your hold cost would be $1,500 times 6 months, which equals $9,000, which is awesome because at the end of the day, you have a very simple situation where you know exactly what your cost is going to be. It's very fixed, and you use all 0% credit. Okay, now the other scenario that you have is called the leveraged 0% model, okay? And the leveraged 0% model goes something like this. You get a house, we'll use the same example, 100K purchase price, 50K rehab. Most hard money guys, okay, hard money, are going to give you 90% of this and 100% of your other costs. So they're going to give you 90% of your purchase and 100% of rehab. This, again, assumes you have good credit and a bunch of factors, but let's just play with this rule. So you have $100K down payment, $100K to start, and out of that you need $10K in cash, and you need $90K from the hard money lender. Plus they'll also give the rehab, right? So the question is, well, this $10K cash, how can I leverage this a little bit more so I don't have to come up with the cash so I can keep, recycling? That would be something that would be useful. Or maybe you have enough for the rehab as well. So you can leverage and just use your 0% credit for this down payment. And so now you're out of pocket $0, which allows you to go further. Now, one big warning that I will tell you. Warning. If this is your first flip or rehab project that you're doing, you need to budget for 50% more time. Okay, so if your project you're thinking is going to be 6 months, you need to budget for 9 months and make sure that that pencils out. Why is that? Because you don't actually know what you're doing. Because you don't know what you're doing, you need to budget for this extra timeline. So if you're using the hard money route, and let's just say they put up a $150K just for simple math, remember you're going to have that $1,500-ish payment if you did it all in credit cards. If you do, so this is actually really credit cards. If you do the hard money route, they're going to require interest-only payments, okay? And their interest-only payments are typically 10 to 12% on the transaction, okay? So let's just look at what your hard money payment would be versus your credit card payment. Let's just, again, to simplify the math, let's just assume it's 100% financing, just for really simple math, okay? On this case, at 100, and we'll say 150K, we'll use the same example. In this case, you owe $1,500 per month principal only. On this case over here at 150K, it's 10% per year, right? Let's just say. So it's 15K, all right, which works out to, in interest, like $1,200 per month. So this payment is a little bit lower, but this all is interest only. It's not reducing your principal balance. So your additional cost, so to speak, in this particular model, your additional cost here is going to be much, much higher because, yes, you paid less per month, but all of that's gone to interest. None of it's gone to principal, which means that if you can model with the credit card over here, you're going to be in a significantly better situation. So the next time you try to fund a project using 0% credit, remember that if you're a fix and flip person, this would be a great model. The last thing I will leave you with is your average hard money lender. This is a problem you're going to run into. Your average hard money lender is going to require 3 homes flipped generally before you do development projects or you do big rehab projects, okay? Which, if you're doing a fix and flip, it might fall into this category of big rehab, okay? The problem is how do you get 3 projects if you can't start 3 projects with the hard money lender? Well, that's obviously a huge issue. So your first option is you do your first 3 projects with 0%. The lender's going to ask you for your settlement statement. Okay, the settlement statement is basically showing that you bought it at X and you sold it at Y and here was your profit, right? The reason they want to see the settlement statement is to see that you're experienced. So you could do your first 3 projects, get the settlement statements, and then you can go back to hard money. Alternatively, what you can do, and what a lot of people do, is they form a partnership, okay? Partnership with somebody with experience. And because they have experience, they will approve it. Again, they're going to ask this person for the 3 settlement statements. So a lot of times what they'll be an experienced partner, there'll be a money partner, and then there'll be a debt partner, something like this. And sometimes there might even be a 4th person doing the work, right? So you might have those 4 partners. Maybe it's 25, 25, 25, 25 within the entity. There's somebody there that has experience. Because they have experience, you're going to be able to get funded. Again, if you can't get this structure together, you don't have these relationships, then 0% credit will be a much better start for this. So as usual, not trying to give you guys any type of financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I am in the real estate space, but this will allow you to use 0%, which will be incredibly useful for you to scale long term. So hopefully this helps. If you have more questions, drop it in the comments and I'll make more videos for you.